Welcome to Listen English Story, where you can learn English by enjoying interesting stories. Today's story, The Agent's Secret, is full of suspense and mystery, making it a great way to practice English. As you follow the events in the story, you'll learn new words, improve your understanding, and have fun with the plot. Let's get started. Chapter 1. World War II, France. Give up now. A harsh voice called out in French. The engine of a military truck rumbled in the background, but the voice was even louder. Come out, or we will start shooting. Amélie remained hidden inside an old building, surrounded by enemy soldiers. If she did not surrender, they would open fire until the building collapsed. All right, she shouted back, still crouched in a dark corner of the room. Her worn leather bag lay beside her, holding a secret she was sworn to protect at all costs. I am coming out. I will exit through the front door. She paused, listening intently. Hands up. Keep them in the air, or we will shoot, the soldier commanded. If you are holding anything, we will shoot. They really want to kill me, Amélie thought, checking her weapon. I would like to take a few of them down too. They killed my partner. But there was no time to dwell on the past. Amélie could not afford to let her emotions get in the way now. She was a professional. She had a mission to complete. Surrendering was not part of her plan. She quickly tied her dark hair into a ponytail. Crawling on her hands and knees, she moved across the room and down the hallway, heading toward the back door. Come out. You have 5 seconds. The soldier threatened. If I step out, they will kill me, she thought. Suddenly, she veered left, away from the back door. Ahead of her was a small wooden door leading to a basement. She opened it and swiftly ran down the stairs. They may know about the basement, but they do not know it leads to a tunnel. Above her, she heard the terrifying sound of machine guns firing at the building. They were going to tear it apart. Amélie knew the soldiers had orders not to kill her, but they were trying anyway. They knew she was dangerous. Someone must have exposed my identity. My cover is blown. Now every soldier in France wants me dead, except the ones in charge. The commanders want me alive for interrogation. The basement reeked of dampness and decay. A single dim light bulb barely illuminated the space. In front of her hung an old, dusty curtain. She pulled it aside, revealing a large hole in the wall. The tunnel. She planned to escape through the tunnel, but she had no idea what awaited her on the other side. Was someone lying in wait? The gunfire stopped. The truck engine fell silent. The officer in charge started barking orders in French. Amélie understood every word. Search the building. Do not come out until you find her. Check the basement too. I have to move now, Amélie decided. She unscrewed the light bulb, plunging the basement and tunnel into complete darkness. But she did not mind. Amélie Dupont was France's most accomplished female spy. She had completed 38 missions successfully, and she was not afraid of the dark. 3 hours later, Amélie sat in a small cafe in Paris, smoking a cigarette. She watched a thin waiter pass by, barely acknowledging her presence. Why was he ignoring her? With her dark hair and distinct foreign features, she did not blend in easily. Maybe he does not like strangers. "Excuse me," she called out in perfect French. "Do you see me?" Usually, Amelie preferred to stay unnoticed. As a seasoned spy, she did not wear flashy clothes or drive expensive cars. She was fit, but she did not look like a fashion model. When people asked her name, she never said DuPont. Amélie DuPont. The government had given her several false identities, so there was no reason to use her real one. Normally, she kept a low profile, but now she needed service. She was thirsty and needed a drink. "Excuse me," she repeated. "Yes. How may I help you?" The waiter finally responded. The cafe was quiet, with only a few customers scattered around. "Bring me a coffee and a croissant," she ordered. He turned, poured the coffee, and placed the croissant on a plate. Then she watched him head to the kitchen. Why is he going to the kitchen? Everything I asked for is right there on the counter. She realized why he left. He was going to use the phone. He was going to call the soldiers and tell them the woman with dark hair is here. Amelie dismissed the thought. "I am being paranoid," she told herself. Then she noticed him peering at her from the kitchen window. His nose looks crooked, she thought. The thin waiter returned with her coffee and croissant, setting them on the table. She noticed he was sweating profusely. It was cold outside. Why was he sweating? Was he nervous? He wiped his brow with his sleeve. "Anything else?" he asked, his voice shaky. "No," she replied, sipping her coffee. It was lukewarm. "Are you a tourist? Your French is excellent," he said, attempting a smile that did not reach his eyes. She shook her head, glancing again at his crooked nose. "I live here. I have lived here for many years." He kept staring at her bag. Something is off, she thought. First, he ignored me, and now he is paying too much attention. "Please let me know if you need anything else, Madame. Moreau and Moreau." The waiter walked away. "I am getting paranoid," she thought, lighting another cigarette. Smoking was a bad habit, but her job was dangerous. There were many things to worry about, worse things than smoking, like other spies, enemy soldiers, and those who collaborated with the enemy. Amelie was nearly finished with her croissant when she heard a familiar sound, the rumble of a truck engine. The soldiers were here. She sprang to her feet. The waiter was blocking the kitchen door. Amelie grabbed her brown bag and a fork, shoving the table aside. She charged at the waiter, brandishing the fork like a weapon. The thin waiter jumped out of her path, and Amelie dashed through the kitchen. She escaped through the cafe's back door. She ran into the night, knowing the soldiers would soon be after her. Chapter 2. Why did you come here? The small old man asked, his voice filled with irritation. He did not appreciate late-night visitors, and he despised the enemy. Are you being followed? Amelie held up her brown bag. I need a place to hide. Are the soldiers after you? He asked again, more sternly. No, she lied, trying to sound convincing. He pointed at the bag. What is inside? Let me in, and I will tell you. No. The old man slammed the door shut. Amelie knocked again, softly this time, not wanting to draw attention from the neighbors. "Go away," the man said from behind the door. "Leave, take your secrets somewhere else." Amelie glanced over her shoulder. The soldiers were out there, searching for her. She needed to hide quickly. She had to get off the streets. Pierre, if you do not let me in, they will catch me," she pleaded, pressing her face against the door. "If they catch me, they will question me, and they will want to know who helped me. I am not helping you." "But I will tell them you did." She hated resorting to threats, but her mission was critical. She could not let the soldiers capture her, and she certainly could not let them get their hands on her bag. The door creaked open. The small man was holding a gun. "I could kill you," he said, his voice trembling. "Get inside. Now, I need to use your restroom," she said, trying to stay calm. Too bad. Pierre aimed the gun at her head. "Hand over the bag." "I came here to hide, not to give away my secrets." "If I shoot you, I will take the bag," he threatened. "You will not shoot. You will help me. I need to get to the American embassy." "Sit down." Amelie sat at the small wooden table. He sat across from her, his smell unpleasant. It seemed he had no water for a proper bath. He still had the gun pointed at her. Outside, they could hear the sound of jeeps approaching. "They are coming," she said, her voice steady. "You have to trust me." "Why should I?" "You will tell them I helped you." She took out her cigarettes and offered him one. He reached for it. Amelie moved swiftly, grabbing his gun. She seized his wrist with her other hand, and the gun clattered onto the table. "I will take this," she said, picking up the old weapon. She examined it. "Does this gun even work?" "No," he admitted, his voice low. She opened her bag and dropped his gun inside. Pierre did not move. He just watched her. "I could run outside," he said. "I could tell them you broke into my home." "You could try," Amelie said, pulling out her own gun. "But you would fail. My gun works just fine. If you fire it, the soldiers will hear." "Enough," she shouted, slamming her hand on the table. "You are going to help me. Now. Where is your telephone?" "I do not have a phone." Amelie stood up, not believing him. She scanned the small, cluttered home. "You are lying." "Am I? Do you see a phone?" She went into the bedroom and found a phone by the bed. "Yes, I see one. Get up. I will give you the number to call." A few minutes later, Amelie hung up the phone. "My friends are on their way. Someone will be here soon. I will leave you alone." "Are you out of your mind?" Pierre asked, his eyes wide with fear. "Why did you give them my address? The soldiers will see the foreigners coming to my house. You have put my life in danger." "Pierre, this is a war. We are all in danger. But I am not a fighter," he cried out. "I am just an old man." Amelie brushed her dark hair back, feeling the exhaustion setting in. "Pierre, do you remember when we first met?" He nodded. "You helped my niece. A soldier was harassing her. I was almost arrested for that, but I helped her," Amelie said, putting her gun away. "I brought her here. Do you remember? I brought her to your home. She was safe here. Yes, but the police came here too. They followed you to my home. What did they do? She walked back to the living room with Pierre trailing behind her. They questioned me. They asked about you. And what did you tell them? I told them I did not know you. That was the truth, he said. And what did they say? He paused, tears welling up in his eyes. He was clearly terrified. They said you are a spy. They wanted me to call them if you ever came back. Amelie looked at him closely. He could see her beautiful green eyes. Will you call them? She asked softly, a hint of sadness in her voice. Help an American spy or help the enemy, he said, his voice breaking. I do not want to help any of you. Please just leave me alone. Amelie heard a motorcycle outside. That must be my ride, she thought with relief. Good. I am ready to leave. She opened the door and looked out. The motorcycle driver waved to her. My ride is here, she said. Amelie put her gun back in the bag, keeping Pierre's broken gun as well. She took out some money and threw it on the floor. I am like you, Pierre. I do not want to live in a world of spies and soldiers. If we defeat the enemy, perhaps we will not need spies anymore. Amelie ran outside and jumped onto the motorcycle. They sped off into the night. As she looked back over her shoulder, she knew she had not told the truth. The world would always have spies. Chapter 3. You failed your mission, the agent said. He did not tell Amelie his name. They were seated in a small office within an abandoned warehouse. The nameless agent was wearing a long blue coat and a white shirt, adjusting his red tie frequently. He seemed unwell, coughing constantly. Maybe we should hand you over to the enemy. I did my job. I got what I was told to get, Amelie argued. I retrieved the folder. She pointed to the folder, which had been in her bag, but was now on the desk in front of her. She was about to say more, but the agent raised his hand, signaling her to stop. Yes, he said with a frown. You got it. Good job. Then why are you angry? Because, he replied, the folder contained information, very important information. Was the information there? She asked, growing anxious. Half of it was, only half. Amelie's face went pale. What? Are you saying half is missing? That's right. Where is the other half? She shrugged her shoulders. I do not know. I robbed the office you told me to. I took the folder. Did you open this folder? Of course not, she said. That is not my job. But you know what is inside of it. Amelie kicked off her shoes. They were uncomfortable, and her feet hurt. She pulled out a cigarette. The nameless agent took the cigarette away. I asked you a question, Miss Moreau. Are you an idiot? Yes, I know what is inside the folder. She took out another cigarette and lit it. I was instructed to find that folder. There it is. And inside is a list of names, Americans who are working for the enemy. Then my job is done, Amelie said, exhaling smoke. Our contact told us the list was bigger. He said there were 300 names. The agent in the blue coat opened the folder and took out some papers. I counted. There are only 149 names. He's lying, she thought. There were 150 names on the list. What do you want? She asked, growing impatient. I was chased by the enemy. I was nearly shot for that list. The agent coughed and took a step back. He did not like the smoke. You have a dangerous job. You have been successful in the past, but I will report his failure. I must inform your superior. They will decide what to do. My superior is a woman, Amelie thought. He is lying again. She looked around the small office. Where is my superior? They will be here later. You must wait here. You said my mission is not complete. Half of the list is missing, she said. I will go out again. No, you cannot leave. They know who you are, he said, opening a window. He stuck his head outside for a moment. Are you looking for something? She asked, suspicious. He closed the window. I wanted some fresh air. He waited for her to finish her cigarette. They know who you are, he repeated, so you cannot go back out. I have a question for you, she said, the list of names. Are those American government workers? The nameless agent sneezed, took out a tissue, and wiped his nose. Yes, these people are working for the enemy? Correct. He placed the papers back in the folder. We will find the people on this list. She leaned forward on the desk, touching the folder, but he pulled it away. Yes, we will find them all. What will happen to them? You know what will happen, he said, his tone cold. They will be investigated. If they are indeed spying for the enemy, we will find out. We know what to do with traitors. Kill them? Amelie asked. She slowly moved her bag closer to her. Yes, if they are Americans working for the enemy, they must die. I agree, she thought. Amelie had not told the agent everything. She had opened the folder. She knew where the rest of the information was, because she had it. She had the other half of the list. But Amelie was always cautious. She never trusted anyone. That is why she had not revealed this yet. When the agent looked away, Amelie took a gun out of her bag. He turned back to her, and she pointed the gun at his stomach. What do you think you are doing? He asked, his voice shaking. Do you know how to count? She asked calmly. Can you count to 150? He closed his eyes. You are making a big mistake, he said. You saw your own name on the list, did you not? Miss Moreau, put that gun down. I work for your superior. What is their name? Amelie asked, her voice steady. It does not matter, he said. You do not know their real name anyway. My superior is a woman, she said, smiling. And you do not know my real name either. The agent opened his eyes. Amelie thought he looked scared, but she was not entirely sure. Here, she said, placing the gun on the desk. I trust you. You can have my gun. He looked at her face, then at the gun. Quickly, he grabbed it from the table. Outside, they could hear jeeps approaching. Where did you get this old gun? He asked, laughing. Then he aimed it at her. I thought you would use a better weapon. Well, it does not matter. You were right. Yes, my name was on the list, but you will never tell anyone. He pulled the trigger, but the gun did not fire. She pulled out her own gun. You were right too, she said. I do use a better gun. Amelie shot the agent 3 times. He collapsed on the ground. She grabbed the folder, stuffed it back into her bag, and ran outside. The motorcycle driver was waiting, watching the jeeps. Look, the enemy is coming, he yelled. Did you finish your business? Yes, she said, mounting the motorcycle. My mission is over. Let's get out of here. Thank you so much for watching until the end.